Good morning. This is the ISF video series on the global movement of seed during this COVID-19 crisis. And today I sit down with Csaba Gaspar and the program manager of the OECD Seed Schemes. The actuality of this interview today that OECD released a statement about policy responses in the seed sector to the COVID-19 crisis. And this is a really beautiful statement which are highlighting the importance of the seed sector in the agricultural value chain and in food security, and also the problems that a kind of undisrupted trade could cause to this value chain. So it's really highlights the fact that the seed sector and the private seed sector and also the seed trade has a global role to maintain the food security. But in this interview today, we would like to more deep dive in the seed certification aspects, and especially of under the OECD seed schemes. We know that OECD seed scheme released the survey to their members, to the national designated authorities, and during and from this survey, there are some key learnings were gathered. So, first of all, Csaba, my first question would be that what is the overall status? What shape the seed certification system is in today in these difficult times?
Good morning, everybody who is listening to this broadcast, and thank you, ISF and Szabolcs, for this invitation to talk about the OECD Seed Scheme and the status of the certification, OECD certification system. The good news is what I can tell you, that despite of the challenges related to the necessary restrictions on the movement and transport put in place by the governments, the national designated authorities are still currently managing to carry out the certification, critical certification processes. Although some of the activities, I have to say, are slowed down or reduced, but the seed lots are still getting certified. So I think this is a good news for the seed industry. At the moment, our national designated authorities are implementing the OECD Seed Scheme within the current regulatory framework, according to the rules and regulations, so business as usual, but they apply our rules a little bit more flexible way than in a normal time. So that's what the seed industry should understand, that you may see some delays in certain activities, and some of the tasks of the NDAs are not implemented at the moment. I will talk about this a little bit more detailed later. What we would ask the national governments in order to maintain the certification activity, to continue the classification of agriculture as an essential business. So that's allow our national designated authorities to implement their task and moving to the fields freely, and also the seed sector to continue their work. The other which we would recommend to the governments is to avoid any changes to the current regulatory frameworks, especially putting new trade barriers, technical barriers to trade. That would be very bad, because with the reduced numbers and reduced capacity of the national designated authorities, it would be really difficult to adapt to new regulatory requirements. And lastly, the key is the communication, collaboration, and harmonization. So that's where we are. Again, the good news is that we still working and serving the seed industry and certify seed.
Thank you very much, Csaba, for this overview. You already hinted that there are some challenges what the NDAs are facing with. Can you tell us what of the most pressing ones which are difficult to overcome at the moment?
Yes, most of our challenges are related to the restrictive measures. As you can imagine, it affects the work of the national designated authorities as well. And also, what I have to say that what I'm saying like challenges is not valid for all countries, but I'm just picking up some of the issues. The first one is related to the free movement of staff. In some countries, it is not allowed, or is the movement of the staff, especially in central offices, they are not allowed to enter to their offices, which cause challenges, particularly when they need to distribute OECD labels to the seed companies after a successful certification. So that was a problem, which I think is an important one, which were reported by several national designated authorities. The other problem is, as I already mentioned, the reduced number of staff because they are teleworking, or because of the social distancing, they are working in shifts. So this also affect the reactivity and capacity of the national designated authorities to implement the seed certification. Also, we received some information, and in several countries, they have no access or reduced access to services related to seed certification. And I particularly talking about the access to national or official seed laboratories or accredited laboratories. That was a problem, especially at the beginning of the restrictions. Now the things are improving, but it caused the trouble for the national designated authorities because they could not finalize the certification process as the seed could not be tested. We are in touch with ISTA, and the situation is getting better by time. And the last one, which I would like to mention, the differences between the OECD certification system and some regional requirements. For example, the OECD allows field inspection of pre-basic and basic seed by authorized inspectors. And in some regions, this is not possible. So then the NDAs, they need to do by themselves those kind of inspections. And because of the reduced staff, that can cause some issues, capacity issues for the NDAs. So I think this is the key at the moment. Of course, the situation can be changed by time, and we are continuing to monitor the situation, and we try to adapt to new challenges.
Thank you very much. You mentioned that national designated authorities have to respect the rules and measures of OECD, so they cannot deviate too much. But you also mentioned that as much as they can flexibly handle situations. So keeping this in mind, can you tell us some of the measures some of the NDAs are implementing, which is a little bit different in normal times, but it showed that that they can be, I would say, a little bit more creative in these difficult times to overcome problems.
Yeah, this is true. The national designated authorities need to be more flexible and trying the way out from situations. At the moment, based on our survey, the agreement, as I said, that yes, we continue the implementation of the certification within the current regulatory frameworks, but we also ask national designated authorities if derogative measures may be necessary in the future. And actually, that's may happen if the things getting worse. But I think the best would be to maintain the regulatory framework as it is now. So yeah, some examples. The first one is the strategic work planning. That's very important. As I mentioned, they have some capacity problems because of the social distancing and teleworking. So NDAs, they treat seed certification as a priority, which relates to the production of seed and trade of the seed. So the field inspection is going unchanged, but some of the activities, for example, registration of new varieties, are delayed. Also some post-control tests, or also some of the training of the inspectors. And related to this, if an authorized inspector does not, the authorization is expired during this time, those authorizations are automatically extended for another year, so that would not cause a problem for the seed companies. The other is the use of the OECD certificate instead of the OECD label in case when the NDA cannot distribute the labels to the companies. So in this case, they send them the OECD certificate and they use it as to certify the certification status of the seed lot. Of course, this needs cooperation between the involved national designated authorities in advance, because the seed will not go with the same OECD level to the country of destination. And the last one, which I would like to mention, to use more often the not finally certified seed. And this is the case when the national designated authorities cannot finalize the certification process because of the sampling and the seed testing is delayed or is not possible. So in this case, we suggest to national designated authorities to use the not finally certified level, which is the gray level in the OECD system. So I think that's some examples how our NDAs are working in these difficult times.
Thank you. And probably the last question from our side, that we know that right now we are living in this unprecedented times, and everybody's do their best and to overcome many of the problems. And as we heard from you, Csaba, this is what is happening in the different countries, and NDAs do their best. But on the other hand, sometimes in these pressing times, there are some solutions which can be utilized probably in the future. Something, especially because of this situation, and there is a kind of urge that some of the measures and some of the operations will be more efficient or do differently. So what is your key learnings? What are the lessons you learned, what you probably could use even after, if this pandemic is over and things get back to normal?
Yeah, from our survey, we see that those national designated authorities who are already introduced a digital system in their certification for the certification process are doing better, and they feel the negative effects much less. So I think digitalization is a future in the certification as well, many areas of the economy. I would like to tell that the OECD at the moment is exploring the possibility to introduce an international digital framework for the OECD Seed Schemes, which would also include electronic labeling, or at least the possibility to digitalize the labeling of the seed lots, which would also increase traceability along the supply chain. And also it would be a good tool to combat fraud, which is a problem, an increasing problem in the seed industry. The work is at the moment we just start this work, but I hope that we can make some progress in the coming months and years. So, but I think that's the future which we need to consider in the seed schemes.
Thank you very much, Csaba. I think it's very reassuring to know that the seed certification going well, and I think this is what matters the most for us, the seed sector, to know that no seedlets will be left behind and not able to find their destination. So I think it was a very nice insight from you, Csaba. Thank you very much this opportunity to do this interview with you. And other questions I don't think we have received at the moment from our viewers. So I would say that if we receive additional comments, we can and questions, we can answer them in a written format. So thank you very much for this interview again, Csaba, and I would like to say all of the viewers to stay safe and healthy and watch our other videos in this series. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Szabolcs.